Mary.
And Amma.
You watch us like,
subscribe,
share,
and comment.
Down below you all. Today we are going to talk about something that Meghan Markle said.
Right. And answer a question that
we want to answer a question for Candy. I think her name is Her name is Candy Zara.
Right.
What up, girl? I always see you commenting, and I love that you're so supportive, and I think you're like literally hilarious. I love reading your comments.
So we
wanted to really answer it properly.
Yes, and we want to rush through it in the last video.
Exactly.
So this was because Meghan had said that
she had never been treated like a black woman until she came to UK.
Until she came to UK, and Candy had said,
and Candy,
the part that she.
But yeah, also I want you guys to get down in the comment section and say, what do you guys? What does it mean to you to be treated like a black woman?
Right.
Whether that's positive or negative. And so just put that down below.
Yes, and also tell us if you have gotten that treatment that you're speaking of. If you got that kind of treatment before, if you've experienced that.
Yeah.
And was it with, and who treated you like that? Who mistreated you like that?
Yes, but good or bad experiences.
Were they black? Were they white? Were they who were they?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Candy Zara said, y'all didn't find, this is what she said, quote unquote, y'all didn't find it strange that she was clear that she grew up never experiencing life as a black woman. So then what the hell was it such a big deal and a representation of your culture that the choir sing the Negro spiritual Lean on Me, LOL, and all that? Mm-hmm. Like, come on. I'm like, okay, they did y'all wrong, but she is not as naive as she wants us to think.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about that Negro spiritual that they did. Because actually, I think Harry had said it was their father, Prince Charles' idea for them to do that, to have something like that, like a gospel. Because
I think Meghan actually
wanted gospel, and he had this idea of taking all the best in different groups, and bringing them together and singing that. So that was his idea to do that. I think
it's called a kingdom choir,
right? And then the other thing too, when I don't know if you guys saw one of Meghan's very early videos when someone was, I think it was in the first episode. Yeah. And this was when her star was rising, and someone was interviewing her, and they asked her what was her favorite singer. Yeah. And she said Nina Simone.
Yes.
So and even so, obviously, she has been exposed to this maybe older black music through her mother.
Yes, because her mom is black.
Because her mom is black. So probably she has gotten all of this kind of stuff. So I'm not surprised that she wanted that at her wedding. So it's not like, because that's the kind of music she likes. When you think of Nina, when someone asks me what's my favorite singer, I would say Anita Baker. I wouldn't say Nina Simone. But Nina Simone is older. I mean, she's dead now. Yeah. But she was much older than Anita Baker.
Exactly.
Right? And so the fact that she said Nina Simone, I was surprised about that she said that.
And I mean, for me personally, like when I was getting into music or whatever, like I didn't know Michael Jackson, I didn't know Beyonce, or whatever. Because I mean, I am a '90s baby, but I was like on the later end.
You were like
I was 98.
Yeah.
So I mean, I learned from all those people, from you, like Destiny's Child, Mary J. Blige,
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like it's kind of I don't think it's a ritual or whatever, but I just feel like it's very common for black mothers to kind of pass on their black music, because I always feel like it's usually women who are listening to music, soulful music by black women or whatever, stuff like that. Like I feel like it's kind of like a tradition. Yeah. So we have to keep in mind that Meghan was kind of mainly raised by a black mother. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
She was with her. She left her dad when she was 2.
I mean, the mama left her daddy when she was 2 years old.
When she was 2, and then moved her from where they lived to where her mom lived. Right. Right. So that she can be around these black women to help her raise Meghan. Yeah. And so she probably got. But I was like, Nina Simone, that's way away from Meghan's generation. Right. But it's like you love like Mary J. Blige.
I love Mary J. Blige. Yeah.
And stuff like that. I'm sure
like Whitney Houston. I love Whitney Houston as well. Like,
but she gets that from
you, for real. From you listening to your music in your car, going to work,
stuff like that. So, yeah.
So I'm not shocked by that.
I'm not shocked that she wanted this kind of gospel, this kind of spiritual. I'm sure she was going to the black church.
Yeah.
When she was coming up, she was there on the weekend, and then she was with her mom on the weekdays. She said.
Yeah.
And then with her dad sometimes on the weekends.
Yeah, but I'm sure her mom had her going to church for activities or whatever the case may have been and stuff.
Yeah.
And then also, I wanted to touch on the topic that she said that y'all did find strange that she was clear that she never grew up, never experiencing life as a black woman.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive into that because because she said, quote unquote, she never was treated as a black woman until she got to the UK.
Yes.
Meghan is biracial.
Yes.
She's not a black woman.
No,
let's be honest.
Woman.
She's half white, she's half black.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then also, let's dive into that because in America, they really wouldn't treat her as a black woman.
No.
Like, Meghan is almost as light as Kim Kardashian when she does not have her makeup on.
If not lighter.
Yes,
right?
She's almost Harry's complexion. I mean, her agent even said, "I had no idea
a woman of color."
He had no idea. He just thought that she was tan and had freckles. So and then the thing is, her hair is straight.
Yes.
So where does she look like a black woman?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, she straightens her hair.
Yes.
Because her natural hair is kind of wavy.
It's
right?
a little wavy, but it's not tight kinks and curls and all this beauty or whatever.
And she straightens that out. And that guy was a white guy, had no idea that she was a woman of color.
Yes, because Meghan is quite light.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest.
Back in the day, she would have been one of those people who would have been able to pass.
Yes.
As a white person.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the thing.
So I can see her not being, and even among black men, she will be like their preference, right?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times black men want to have someone who is not black.
Yes, who's either white, who is half
white, who's a mix,
or a light-skinned woman. Usually that is what they go for.
That's what they go for.
So they would not have treated her as a typical black woman. They would have treated her as a preference. Exactly. They would have treated her like different. Yeah. So, I mean, she would never have been treated like a black woman per se. Especially in America. You know what I'm saying? And then also she went to a school where it was mixed race.
It was mixed
race. So she
race.
never had to witness that or whatever.
Exactly.
But you go to
now she did hear when her mom was called the N-word.
Yes.
But the mom never really talked about it, and that was not directed to Meghan.
And then also the mom never talked about race. Either. Which I honestly think is a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing for you to say, let's come on, Pekin. Let me show you roots. I think that's dumb as shit. I don't want to watch.
Don't say that because some of my friends, it's a rite of passage for their kids to watch Roots. Okay.
No, me personally, I'm happy I never watched it because when you showed me, because what you didn't show me, but when you told me about it, I literally had like a physical reaction. Yeah. And because I really am sensitive to that type of stuff. I would not want to sit down there and have to watch the rapings, the beatings, all that stuff.
That's why
just
I
like
don't
the
watch
inhumane
slave
stuff.
movies. I don't watch slave movies.
Like, just when I even hear stories about certain things, like, it has a huge effect on me. Yeah. Like, even the story that you had told me about the nanny or whatever in the UK, I mean, when you're talking about, I kind of turtled in and tried to check out because it really hurted my soul when you were talking about. Remember when you talking about the nanny when they said, "Where are you from?"
Oh yes.
That actually really bothered me. And then you were trying to ask me, "What do you think?"
And you were so upset.
I was like, I really don't.
And you
didn't
want to talk about it. This is a story I'm going to talk about after this.
Yes.
Because I kept on trying to draw you out. You were shut down. I was like, what is wrong? What's going on with me?
Well, because that type of stuff really hurts me and affects me. I can only imagine if I was in that type of situation. So for me to sit down here and watch a 9 DVD thing about racism, I just would not have wanted to do that. And then it's like you keep that in your mind, and I feel like also it affects you because then you're just feeling like, oh my God, I have this stuff here. I have this whole entire race of people, which I don't feel like it's all white people who are racist. But you like in your mind, you're kind of like
your skin.
Yes, and then you also kind of go into a job interview, kind of thinking like they're not going to like me. Like you just have this negative connotation, and then also it's kind of like I don't want to say it puts you in this victim mode, but that's just also kind of how I feel a little bit. I mean, you guys can debate me in the comments. That's just how my idea.
For me, like I understood because I heard Dorian say, well, maybe I should have talked to her, and I feel bad that I didn't talk to her about it. But for
maybe
me,
before she got into the UK, probably should have had that conversation with her.
Well,
that's what I feel. Because I mean, the thing is, when she was in the UK, I mean, this is a place where it's mainly white people.
Yeah.
I mean, they said the journalists are 0.2%.
Yeah, the blacks are 0.2.
They have exactly. They've never had a black person or even a woman with a sprinkle of black in her in their palace. Yeah. So yes, they're going to be racist there, and she's going to get the bad connotation that sometimes black women may experience.
Yeah.
But if I'm speaking for myself, I never was really treated like a black woman unless I was by black men. Like I've had my own experiences in college or whatever.
About that. So, how were you treated or mistreated by black men?
I mean, because we never really talked about it, so I don't think I kind of realized what it was until I got out of it.
Yes,
until I came home or whatever stuff. Yeah. But when I first,
it's been like in the past year that we have really been talking about race and how why you were going through those things. So you were saying you had a roommate who was Caucasian,
had a roommate.
Right?
When I first got to college or whatever, I had a roommate who was Caucasian. We're both voluptuous.
Yeah.
I mean, we basically kind of
every time you all went out.
Whenever we went out, what I kind of noticed was that black men would flock to her.
Right.
Versus them like me or whatever. I mean, I was kind of used to getting attention or whatever and stuff like that.
Before you went to school.
Before I went to college.
Yes.
But, I was hanging around her. I feel like she was kind of like...
their preference.
Her preference. That was their preference, but I didn't know it at the time.
But
I always wondered why.
What's going on?
Because it kind of like they almost kind of shunned me and they will try to flock to her. And I really never understood what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I still felt fine about myself because I knew I was fine. I was beautiful. Like I knew I had it going on or whatever stuff. But I just noticed that.
Attention from other races.
I was getting more attention from other races in college who wanted to date me and all that stuff or whatever. And me personally, I'm not really biased. I'm not like, let me soldier on. I'm like, wherever I find love, I find love. Like if he's a nice guy and he's doing the right thing, then whatever. But that was kind of my experience.
In terms of maybe a black, but in your case, it was like with your own people.
Yeah. And then even, I was seeing somebody or whatever, stuff like that, and he had made some comment to me when we were at the beach or whatever that,
you were enjoying the sun.
Yes, and it was his birthday.
And he was
I had taken his ass out
to the beach.
And he was like, I'm like, and I don't even know how
under
the
an
conversation.
umbrella.
Yes, and I can't even remember how the conversation came about. But he was like, you're
saw
fine.
You loving the sun.
Or whatever.
And he wanted to let you know.
Yeah, but he was basically like, if you were darker, I probably would not have dated you or whatever. But I mean, you're fine how you are now. I mean, I just looked at him like the biggest idiot on the planet. I was like, okay.
Ignorant.
Weird
and
as shit.
Shortly after that, it was over.
Yeah, for sure. So, so that was just, if I was treated like a black woman or whatever, quote unquote, it was by black men in the weirdness and self-hatred.
Isn't that interesting though?
Yeah, but I had never experienced typical
Caucasian,
coming at me or whatever.
You badly.
No, if anything, it was always Caucasian men who would take me on whatever, take me on dates, they will pay for stuff or whatever, versus if I go on a date with a black man, he'll like, let's do 50-50. That was just my experience. I mean, I know that's not how all black men are, but it is what it is. That's my experience.
Yeah. But I mean, of course, that's not how all black men are, because you have some really good black men in our family.
Yeah,
so
of course.
She knows that, but this is her experience. For me, the reason why I did not, first of all, when I came to this country, we'd been here before, and then I came back for college. And when I came back for college, I was at University of Virginia, and that's in Charlottesville, Virginia, where all that issue happened not too long ago. But, when I came, I was put in a suite with like 7 other Caucasian people. Next door was a suite of all African Americans. I never even actually wondered why until one of them said to me, "How come they didn't put you next door with us and they put you over here?" Yeah. Well, of course, now we know is that separation that they tried to do between Africans and African Americans.
Right.
So I was in the suite with all Caucasian people when I actually watched the movie Roots, and then I was very angry with all of them.
You see?
And the only reason why I watched the movie Roots, we're supposed to write about some historical stuff.
And your Caucasian teacher suggested the movie to you.
My English teacher, who was Caucasian, suggested that, hey, you know something? Why don't you go watch Roots? Have you ever watched it? I said no. I had no idea what it was about.
Why she would do that don't make sense to me though.
I saw this stuff. I almost lost my damn mind. I went to the suite. I was cursing all of these people who were the ancestors of these slave masters, and I lost my shit. And they were crying because they were like, we didn't do it. I mean, I'm sorry. So it was crazy. But anyhow, that's another story. If you guys want to hear about my stories in the University of Virginia. But I remember when I first came, I was holding on to this girl's hand, my roommate's hand, like this, and swinging, and her parents were behind us, and her hand was like that the whole time, so I'm holding her hand, and they're taking us to dinner, and her parents, you could just see them looking like, what the, I guess, I didn't know about the whole gay movement either.
But so I don't know if they what they do sometimes. Yeah.
Stuff. So even men sometimes will hold hands. It doesn't mean that they're gay. They just, this is my friend or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was that until one day they asked me if I was gay. And I said, oh yeah, I'm always gay. Because I'm thinking.
That gay means happy. That's what it originally meant.
So, but anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into my history at University of Virginia, only if you guys ask for that.
Yeah.
But, so I came with that notion. And then with the whole Roots that I watched, I remember, and even when I was walking, it had an effect on me. Because as now I was walking, I was looking at these Caucasians, like to see will their behavior change towards me.
Yeah, it's like you're just looking for it. Yeah, almost.
Like that was not really the case.
Yeah.
But when I first came, I used to wear all my African outfits.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was on the bus, and one of the women, the girls who lived next door in that suite with just African Americans.
Oh, so she was African American.
Yes, and she saw me on the bus. At this time, I did not know her. I had seen her, and anytime I see anyone, I'm smiling and hi.
That's why I said.
And so she, I passed her, and she says, "Look at her looking like Kunta Kinte's wife and shit." And she said it all loud on the bus, and everybody laughed. And by that time, I hadn't watched Roots yet, so I was like, I didn't even know who Kunta Kinte was. I thought it was some amazing person. And his wife. So I said, excuse me, look how you looking like Kunta Kinte's wife and shit. I said, oh, thank you so much. And people were laughing, so I'm thinking I said, thank you so much. And so now they all looked at me like, I thought she was like praising my outfit. And I'm thinking, I got to know who this Kunta Kinte's wife is. Must be a celebrity. Anyhow, later on, after I watched The Roots, I said, this girl was insulting me. But
you got these are our people. Yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying? You see?
So I did get that. I was dating some African guy who was like, he would look at both of us, and he was, dark skinned as well. And he was like, you know what I noticed? Your face is lighter than mine, but look at my body. My body is lighter than yours. And I had no idea what that was. Yeah.
That was a self-hatred.
Soon after that, we were no longer together. And then there was the Greek fraternities, right? That they have. So there was one particular, and this friend of mine, she was African American, but she was so beautiful, gorgeous. Yeah. She looked just like Vanessa Williams. I remember one time we were talking, and she was saying to me, and we were talking about the different fraternities, and I was like, I wanted to be, they had like different things. The fraternity had women, one of, the college girls, who kind of like work for them, like they'll do car washes for them to raise money. Right. So I was like an Omega Pearl. So I was thinking about, well, which one do I want to join? And so she was telling me about all the different fraternities, and she was like, that fraternity, I think it was the Kappas, and she was like, all of them were light-skinned African Americans. And she said, yeah, they are all about that light-skinned stuff. When you go to their parties, they'll have a little brown bag, paper bag, and if you're darker than that, you don't get to go into their parties. And so I never went to their parties. I was like, oh my God, they do that and women actually go? When anyone actually goes to their parties? Like, it stunned me, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't stand them. Even though she was light skinned, she was like, I cannot stand them. So I did not join that group just because of that. So instead I became an Omega Pro, which I loved. I loved doing that. But anywho, so yeah, all of my experience. Now, there was one time when this Caucasian woman, actually I was going to start working at this job, and she had interviewed me, and it went really well.
Yeah.
And then she asked me, she said, oh, so, where are you from? And she's like, she was at where I was from, and I was like, oh, I'm from Sierra Leone. She's like, oh, you're not, oh, okay. And she's like, well, I don't really hear an accent. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I said, but, I am from Sierra Leone, and I was born in Ghana. And then she says to me, she's like, you have such a soft voice. She's like, the Africans that I know are very loud. And so just as she's talking, someone was out there yelling at her. She's like, yeah, that's another loud one. She's from Nigeria. And I was like, and I had to just chuckle because I had also found that they were quite loud. So it was like something that I would have said. So even though she was Caucasian, she was saying that, I was thinking it in my mind. So I don't know. Does that make me racist too? And she racist as well? But I was thinking about it and I just chuckled, and the person came and she actually told the girl that. Yeah. And she said, we were just, and the woman was like, why are you laughing? And she said, we were just talking about you. I was telling her because her voice is so soft. Yeah. And I was saying, well, all the Africans I know are very loud. And, you're from Nigeria. And she was like, well, yes, we are loud and we are strong. And we don't take any mess. And I just had to laugh, But, that was the only thing that I've had. Oh, recently, we went to a friend of mine's home for, I can't remember what she was doing. I think it was during some holiday, some Muslim holiday. And this friend is African American. And I went to her home, she was having dinner. And there was an African American woman there. And someone else had asked me and said, she introduced me, this is my friend, she's from Sierra Leone. She said, oh, she doesn't have much of an accent. And I was like, people tell me that a lot, or people will say I sound like I'm from the island. And I'm like, but I do have, my accent is very strong, when I want it to be. I mean, you guys have seen on the show when we'll make our little African accent. Yeah. And so the African-American woman who was sitting there, she kept on looking at me with a frown on her face. I don't know why. And then she's like, I mean, where are you from? And I told her, I said, and my friend said, oh, she's from Maryland, because my friend lived in Virginia. And she's like, oh, she's from Maryland. No, where are you from? Like, because I am hearing a very thick accent. Where are you from? I said, oh, I'm from Sierra Leone, and I was born in Ghana. So my dad is Sierra Leone and my mom's from Ghana. Yeah, because I could hear that accent. She said, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you could hear it? Yeah, I thought I have a pretty thick accent. You do. Okay. I have no idea what point she was trying to make. Maybe she was trying to let me know. You black, girl, you black. Like in that show. What show was that?
Jump in the Broom. Yes.
So I was just like,
oh, you get up your high horse. I know, black,
but
baby. You're black.
But I wasn't trying to be on any high horse.
I know, but that's what they said in the movie. That was my favorite line.
Yeah. So you see, so for me, yeah, I haven't had that experience, and I've been in this country for a while. I have not had that experience. Oh, you know something? That is not true. I had one experience. I was driving with my mom. I just remembered this. I was driving with my mom. Now, when we were here before, we lived in Potomac, Maryland, right? But my dad was a diplomat. So we lived in Potomac, Maryland. And so my mom wanted to go see that house that we lived in that was on Tara Road. And so I said, come on, yeah, let's go. So I am here driving and getting to that area, I guess, it's pretty much a Caucasian neighborhood because I remember the school I went to, I think it was just me and another black child there. So I drove up that way, and then all of a sudden we hear this cop car, meow, meow. And here he comes. I was like, oh, hi, officer, and he was like, driver's registration. I gave it to him. Where are you all going? You all seem to be lost, he says. And I said, something? We actually may be lost. So maybe if you can point us in the right direction. I said, because we lived on Tara Road before. And so my mom was reminiscent, and she wanted to go up that way. And so he was like, oh. He looked in the car you lived here before? I said, yeah, and that was a long time ago. I said, but we're trying to go and just see the house and just kind of see the area. And I said, are we close to Tara Road? Well, it's up that way. I said, oh, okay. Well, thank you so much. And I was like, so as he was walking away, I said, was there a reason you stopped us? Or it's just we looked lost? He said, yeah, you seemed to be lost, that you needed help. I said, okay, well, thank you so much. And I put up my window.
Well, I think the naivete about...
No, I am not very naive.
No.
I may know what it is. Because my mom was like, she was just like sitting down. She was all upset. And she was like, you know why they stopped us? I said, probably. Am I going to have an attitude about it today? No, I'm not. I let him look stupid. And I went about my merry way.
Oh,
yes.
Plot twist.
Yes. So I do remember that happened. And you know something? Maybe we did look lost. Maybe he was whatever. Or maybe he was just a racist. But, so I have had, that has occurred. That has occurred to me. And I had another encounter with another cop, actually. This was when I was at at a shelter with the children. And he stopped me because my windshield was cracked, right?
Right.
And he stopped me the first time, and I'm like, okay, officer, yes, I do know. And I had an attitude with him. He was a Caucasian. I said, I am aware that this stuff is cracked. You think I don't know? I can see it, just like you can see it. But I'm not going to be able to pay for it until this Friday, and it was Monday. I have to go to school. I live in a shelter. I ain't got money. I am waiting to get some money. When Friday comes, I will fix it. Okay? Is that okay for you? Okay. Ma'am, I'm just letting you know. Do you have a ticket for me, yes or no? No, I don't have a ticket. Okay, thank you. And I went. The second day he stopped me. Do you not remember what I said? Friday! I think Thursday he stops me that same week because I go through the same area, right? And so Thursday when he comes, he sees me, he's like, just go ahead. Friday! I said, okay. So, those have been my only encounters.
I think he was messing with you at that point.
Yeah, I think those have been my only encounters at this point. But yeah, I haven't had any other issues.
Now, I know there's
problems. I haven't really had any problems like that. I just haven't. And I've lived in this country all this time. And yes, people might say, well, because you're African, maybe you did not get that. What I try to do, and I want to say this very quickly, when I watched that movie Roots, my dad, I was very angry. I called my dad, and I said to him, he was in Sierra Leone, I said, why didn't you tell me about this racism in this country? Like, why didn't you let me know? Like, I'm so upset, and I'm crying, and I'm telling him all this stuff, and he's like, I don't want to, he's like, that was a choice that I made not to tell you because I don't want anything stopping you.
Yeah.
There's so many other things going on in the world and so many things that you need to do and achieve. Like, why do I have to come and tell you, oh, there's a whole group of people who may not like you? because I don't want you to ever feel as though you can't stand up and talk to anyone, eye to eye, be confident in your space. So I was just like, well, it would have been good to know. That's all I had to tell him. But when I got married, and I got married to an American, and he's from Louisiana, and he had awful encounters with the police. You know, they would call them the N-word. He was with his friend one day. They started shooting at them for no reason. And they jumped into this river, and they kept on shooting, and they stayed under there. He said it must have been over 15 minutes. How he was able to hold his breath, he does not know. And until the cops left, and they came out. So he has been through this stuff, you know, and he's a black man, born and raised right here in America. All these people are American, you know, all these people are, you know, this is where they've been. I think his grandmother is Native American, but both his grandmothers are Native Americans, but, you know, he is African American. So I talked to him about this. You know, when we were, and he knew all the history books, he was really into, and he still is, into African American history and all of this stuff. And when it wasn't until we had our son, when we were getting ready to have our son, and he was telling me, you know something, and I told him that my father never taught me this, whatever. He said, you know something, he said, all my life, most of my life, I've been afraid. You know, I've been like afraid of just, you know, what the police will do to me, what, you know, this other race will do to us and stuff like that. He's like, but I don't want my children growing up like that. I want, you know, I look at you, there's like this confidence about you. I have 5 siblings, and he knows them. He's like, but I see this confidence with your brothers and all that stuff, and I don't want to raise my children with all these stories, you know, because I told him, you know, I have friends who are letting their kids watch Roots. By the time they're 9, 10, it's like a rite of passage. And he's like, no, I don't want them watching any slave movie thinking that this is who they are and this is what they're going to do. And so between us, we decided that this was not a conversation we were going to have with them. And the other conversation that we were thinking we may have to have with them probably first, before we have a conversation about race to them, we're probably going to have a conversation about them being Muslim first.
Yeah.
Because there was this backlash against Muslims and this crazy discrimination around that time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my son was born in 2001 was the whole 9/11 stuff that happened. So we had people spitting on me as I'm trying to go with my two seats carriage, throwing things at me, throwing trash at me, spitting at me. And you know who was doing that? It was black people. It was black people in our neighborhood, I must say. Women, mostly black men. So, and it got to a point that I even had to remove my headpiece. I used to wear it all the time, and I had to remove it because, you know, my husband at the time was like, you got to take that off.
Well, I'm going to jail.
Exactly, because I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
Brothers spitting at you for what? You know, so that's what I went through. So those are my experiences thus far.
But also, you know, I want to make a quick...
So I can see why Meghan, when she says, and I believe her, when she says, it wasn't until I got to the UK that I have had this interaction, this thing about my blackness, my half blackness.
I mean, because they never had a person of color ever in that royal family. Yeah. So you have someone like, I mean, could you imagine if she was a dark-skinned woman? Yeah. It would have been a slaughterhouse, and they would be very bold. Yeah. They would not be trying to hide it. No. But, I mean, they've never had it there. So I can see why she said she was treated, quote unquote, like a black woman, or whatever.
And I don't know if a whole bunch of black women have had this experience.
I mean, I have not really had
what
any
this
bad
experience about being a black woman is. Like, we are aware of it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I try my best not to pay attention. Like, even the lady saying something about my accent, I try not to give it fodder. The cop asking me if I'm lost, I try not to give it no attitude. That's when I'm on the best of, you know, smiling And yeah, pretending, but I know what you're trying to say, and it's okay. That just shows your ignorance. So I don't give it too much attention.
I mean, even when I was in college, like I had, most of my teachers were Caucasian. I went to SCAD. I mean, yes, this was in Atlanta, but most of the most of the teachers there were Caucasian, and there was maybe 4 or 5 African American teachers there or whatever, which I really hadn't noticed it until one day I had seen a Caucasian janitor, which I thought was shocking. I was like, oh, she must be new here, because I didn't think I paid attention to that, but I feel like when I noticed her, I realized, oh my God, all the janitors and all the cooking people are mainly African American.
Yeah.
That's when I noticed that, and then I realized most of the teachers were Caucasian. Which, I really hadn't thought about that until, I saw the Caucasian janitor or whatever. But back to my point, I had mainly Caucasian fashion teachers, And whenever I would have my afro out, which I love my afro, I love my curls and everything, and then it's this huge afro, and then the thing is it goes down to my bottom.
Yes.
So when I'm out or whatever, I'm very happy bouncing around, whatever. Right. My teachers, they would always ask, oh my God, is that your real hair or whatever, and stuff like that. And I really had this really short, kind of chubby teacher that I really loved. I was always her helper or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was just looking at it, and she looked at her hands were like this, and I was like, do you want to touch it?
Yeah.
And she was like, I really did, but I didn't know how to ask or whatever. Yeah. And she just touched it or whatever. I had my afro, and then I let her pull it a little bit so she could see how long it was. And I was like, see, look how long it is.
Yeah.
But I never felt like, oh my God, don't touch my hair or whatever. Yeah. I know my hair is beautiful. Even I'll have African American women ask me, is that all my real hair or is it a weave? And then I just felt like, oh, they're just asking the same thing, because I'm sure they're like, how is your hair like this? How does it work?
Yeah.
So I just think it's genuine curiosity. I never have felt weird about a Caucasian person asking me about my hair. Yeah. I love my hair, and I like to flaunt it. If you asking about, I'm like, oh, thank you very much. Yes, I've grown it for almost 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So
and
I'm proud.
I have had the hair thing too. Because when my hair was longer and I will leave it out, I will have when I was at work, I'll have both Caucasians and African Americans and Hispanic and all the races will come and touch my hair.
Yeah.
But what I did notice, even when I was in school, the African Americans will pull it.
Oh, yeah.
They'll pull, and I think, and they'll really get deep in there, and I think is to see if it's a weave. And it wasn't a weave.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and I used to want to be pulling. It's only now when, you
had the good hair come out. I thought the best thing that Chris Rock ever did.
And then I was like, oh, that's why they were pulling.
Yes.
They want to see if I got a weave under there.
I honestly thought the best thing that Chris Rock ever did for black women was put that out there. Because he started the whole movement.
It was after that movie.
After that, everybody was doing natural hair.
We became natural.
Came out.
I became natural. My sister, all my relatives became natural.
And I thought it was so sweet because he did it for his daughters. Because they were like, Daddy, why don't I have good hair? And he's like, oh, hell no. We finna break this all down. Yeah. So
I don't like Chris Rock like that. But I thought that was the best thing he ever did.
Absolutely.
And I wish one day he actually gets an award from BET for that.
Yeah.
Because I think he did a wonderful service to black women. That's
I
really what started the movie.
We deserved an Oscar, honestly. I thought it was a phenomenal documentary. And I thought it really dived in.
Because when I saw it, gotten some award.
Yeah, like a major award.
And if the Oscar doesn't want to give it to him, I think BET should have at least
given him something.
Given him that.
Yeah.
Because he started a revolution.
Absolutely.
He started, really, this natural hair movement.
Honestly, I thought it was just some comedy. And it turned out being a documentary. I was like, this is phenomenal. And then it was hilarious. They had everybody in there. But anyway, y'all, we're at 40 minutes.
He gave us a mirror for us to look at ourselves.
Yeah.
We
had Nia Long on there talking about it. I might watch it today, actually.
Yes, actually, yes.
But yeah, that was just our analysis. We're at 40 minutes. This is going to be a pain in my rear end to upload.
I'm sorry,
listen, we both had our stories. But yes, you all, it's Mary
and Amma.
Everybody has to like,
subscribe,
share,
and please put your comments
down below.
There is no comments that could offend us.
Yes.
Just let us know.
Unless you cussing somebody else out, you will be blocked. So put your thoughts down respectfully, or your ass will be blocked.
I'm sure y'all gonna be respectful. Please don't have YouTube police on our tail. But love you guys.
Let me have you
Thank
on my
you.
Anyway, but yes, y'all, it's Mary.
We said that before.
Goodbye.
Bye.